Good morning, class. How are you this morning? I hope you are surviving Storm Claudia, who's wreaking havoc. Havoc. That's better. We've been having awful trouble with our sound recently, but that sounds a lot better. Okay, good morning. I hope you are well. Let's check this. Brilliant. So, welcome to our live lesson. So, my name is Miss Kimball. I'm going to be teaching you and your teacher how to use the Just2easy tool suite. So shall we have a think about what we're going to be doing today? We are going to be doing some autumn coding games. Right, first of all, our shout outs, very important, of course. So we have got P4 at Knockmore Primary School in Lisbon. So hello and welcome to you. We have got Miss Trainers P3 and P4 class at Our Lady Fatima Primary School in Derry. Hello, I think you came yesterday, so hello and welcome to you guys. And we have Mrs. Wilson's P3, 4 and 5 class at Milltown Primary School in Banbridge. So hello and welcome to you guys as well, and welcome to anybody else who hasn't had a shout out. We'll still let you attend. Right, I have flipped my sessions a little bit. I'm going to be showing what we're going to be creating this morning. So we are going to be doing some coding today using J2 Code Visual, which is our block-based coding system. And we're going to be creating a little game like this. Okay, so this is my autumn coding. There's my code. Let's have a little look, shall we? So I'm going to press the play button because that's what we do. And I've got my instructions across the front. Press the arrow keys to move the squirrel. Can you catch the acorn? So I'm going to press play. And I'm going to get my squirrel and I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard and I'm going to chase that acorn. And when I catch it, it's going to move. I'm going to keep going. There we go. So my acorn is going to move around the screen. So that is what we're going to create today. Hands up, people. Who wants to create this with me? Hopefully you've all got your hands up. So let's do a little bit of thinking first before we start creating our code. So what are we learning today? So we're going to be learning all about coding. So the first thing we're going to be doing is giving instructions to a computer using coding blocks. And actually, we're going to think about what makes a good game and what coding is. Okay, then we're going to open up J2 Code Visual and we're going to add and change sprites, including a background. We're going to make a simple interactive autumn themed game. We're going to test and fix or debug our code when something doesn't work properly. So we're going to look at what debugging is and we're going to try a bit of debugging. And we're going to use logical thinking to make our game work properly. So I hope you got your thinking brains on. And then we're going to save and share our digital work with others. It's a very busy day today. Right, let's have a little think about what is coding. So coding is a way of giving instructions or algorithms to a computer or a device so it knows what to do. Okay, so all of our computers use algorithms all of the time. So an algorithm is responsible for moving my cursor. Okay, an algorithm is responsible for showing me what's on the screen, for my keyboard working, for my sound working. So all of these are instructions that the computer or the device follows to know what to do. Okay, so we have to design algorithms to make our coding do something. Okay, so in J2 Code Visual, we use building blocks to make up our code. So I'm going to give you some blocks and I want you to have a think about what these blocks will do. Okay, so teachers, you can pause the session at any time. That's why we deliver through YouTube Live. So you can pause this session if you want to give them a little bit of time to discuss maybe what each block does. Okay, so this is one of the blocks of code. Okay, so we've got 3 parts to this bit, well, 4 parts actually to this bit of code. So we've got this yellow block, we've got this blue block with a little bit of a drop down menu and this green block. So who thinks they know what does this block do? Okay, so it says when this sprite is clicked, so the sprite is the character. So when this sprite is clicked, move forward by 100. So that means the sprite is going to move forward, whichever direction is forward, forward by 100. So 100 spaces. So it's going to move the sprite forwards. What about this block? Okay, so it says when this sprite is clicked, say hello. So that means when the sprite is clicked, a little speech bubble is going to pop up and it's going to say hello. Okay, so easy peasy so far. What about this one? So this one says when the right arrow key is pressed, turn right by 90. What do you think the 90 stands for? That's right, it should be 90 degrees. Okay, turn right by 90 degrees. So it's going to turn by 90 degrees. Okay, so it's going to stay in the same spot, but it's just going to rotate by 90 degrees. Okay. So we're going to use these sorts of block-based coding to create our game. Now we need to have a little think about games first of all before we start. So teachers, I've started adding these little infographics, PNG images here, where I think you might like to pause the session and have a discussion if you need to. Don't worry if you don't want to. So I want you to have a think, class, about what makes a good game. So I'm trusting that the majority of you have probably played a game on a computer or a device before. But don't worry, even if you haven't played a computer game, have a think about a game that you play, maybe a board game. Can you think of a game that you play? And what makes this game so good? Can you think of any elements that need to be included? So what sorts of things make up a good game? So let's have a look, shall we? So a movable character or sprite. So even with a board game, you generally have a little character that represents you. In a computer game, we've got some familiar characters here, hopefully. You will have a sprite or a character that moves through the game. So we've got Mario here, we've got a little Lego man, and we've got Steve. Good old Steve from Minecraft. Okay, so we'll have a character or a sprite. Can everybody say sprite? Well done. So we are going to use the word sprite to mean our playable character. What else? Playability. So that's a long word, playability. Is it fun to play? So what's going to happen if it's boring? You're not going to want to play, are you? So we need to make it fun. And then last of all, an objective or a goal. So every game that you play will have an objective, so something that you need to do. So in Minecraft, you need to build things. That is the objective. In Mario, Mario runs through the levels and he has to get to the goal at the end of the level. Okay, and you might jump on certain things, you might collect points. So all of these are objectives, so things that you need to do in the game. So all of these things we're going to have a little think about today when we're creating our game. Okay, now teachers, this is going to be a slightly longer session simply because the amount of stuff we need to get through. So I'm aiming to finish by 10:15. Okay, so another half an hour. It may well take you a little bit longer with the children following along. So you might like to deliver this session in 1 or 2 or even 3 sessions. Okay, so you can save the activity and then come back to it at a later date if you need to. Okay, so let's have a little refresher. We've got our game, we've got our squirrel, which is our sprite, and our squirrel needs to catch the acorn. And we've also got a background. Okay, so all of these things we need to include. So the first thing I need to do is find J2 code, and we're going to find visual. I'm going to show you how to find it. Don't panic. Okay, teachers, you can pause the session at any time. I'm well aware the children will probably take a little bit longer to follow each step, so you can pause this session at any time and come back to it if you need to. Okay, so I'm assuming that you are logged in, and we're going to find J2 code. So on my launchpad, it is here. It may well be in a different space on your launchpad. We're going to click on that, and that's going to take you to J2 code. Now we have a number of different platforms within J2 code. We've got JIT, Visual, Logo, and Microbit. We are going to be clicking on this one here. This is Visual. Can you see the blocks? I want you to click on that when you find it. So this one here. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take you through to this space. Don't worry, if you've clicked on a different one, just go back to your code and find it. Okay. Now, J2 code always opens up with our little penguin unless it's Christmas time, and then there will be a little Rudolph the reindeer. So this may well change in a couple of weeks' time. Don't panic. It's just the way J2 code works. Okay. We're not going to use our penguin today, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a background. Okay. And our background technically is a sprite. And our sprites are listed up here. So can you see here it says sprite 1. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the name of that tab, because what we're going to end up with is quite a few tabs, and we want to be able to know which tab we're programming or which sprite we're programming. So what we're going to do, can you see, I'm going to zoom in just so you can see. You don't need to zoom in. Okay, I'm just showing you. Can you see this little drop down arrow here? Yeah, next to sprite 1. We're going to click on that, and you're going to click where it says rename. Rename. So we're going to click on that. Wow, that's big. And then we're going to delete that out. So you're going to use your backspace or your delete button on your keyboard, and then we're going to name this background. So I want you to delete sprite 1, and you're going to rename it background. And that's going to help us later when we've got more than one sprite, so that we know which sprite we are programming. And we don't want to program our background. I've had plenty of children coding backgrounds by mistake. So this is why we're doing this first. Okay. When you've written background, we're going to click OK. And can you see that has changed that tab now? So that tab is now called background. Okay. So does it look like a background? No, we've got our little sprite, and actually we can drag our little sprite around, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do to change our sprite, we're going to click on this little penguin button up here. Can you see my little penguin? So we're going to click on this. So we're clicked on our penguin, and then we're going to click on our penguin plus. So we click penguin, and we click penguin plus. Okay. Now we have lots of different resource libraries that we can choose from. Okay. But I like to change it up a little bit. And this gives you the option to make your game look how you want it to look. Okay, because we don't want all the games to look exactly the same. That'd be really boring. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this button that says web search. Can you see web search? So we're going to click on this. And now we're going to type in this box, and we're going to say autumn, because we're doing an autumn coding game. Okay, so we're going to click autumn, and then we're going to hit enter. So we've clicked web search, clicked in this box, typed autumn, and that is going to give us some nice autumn pictures. Okay, so some really nice pictures here. And bearing in mind, we're going to use these as a background. Okay, so We're going to choose one that would look good as a background. So probably some of these ones like this might be a little bit hard to see where the acorn is. So I would suggest maybe one of these with the boxes around the outside. Or looking at it, this tree might be a fab background. I think because I'm going to be presenting, I'm going to choose this one, but you can choose whichever one you want. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and then actually I'm going to choose this one. That one's a little bit boring. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to click OK. So that has added that sprite in for me. It's added 2. How annoying. So if it's added 2, like me, just click that X and that will delete that out. So does this look like a background yet? No. So there's a very special button that we need to press, or that we need to tick, should I say, on our page to make this a background. So can you see up here, it says background. So I want you to tick that box. Can you see? That has now added that sprite all the way around the outside, and I can't move it. That's the most important thing. It is stitched to my background. So I have ticked my background. Okay. So hopefully you have managed to do that. So that is the first bit of our challenge. We have created the kind of the level or the background for our game. Okay. So teachers, you might want to give them a little bit of time. They might want to, if they've added a background, maybe they want to change it. You can just go back to that penguin plus button. My shoulder is really hurting. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to add in our sprite, so our movable character. So I'm going to choose a squirrel for my autumn game. You might want to choose something different. You might want to choose a hedgehog, or I think some other autumnal characters. Yeah, I will let you choose. So what we're going to do at the top of our page, can you see this plus button next to the background tab? There's a plus button. So that is where we can add in another sprite. So I'm going to click that plus button, and there we go. So we've got sprite 1. So this is where we're going to do this again. So we're going to think of which character we're going to choose, and we're going to rename this tab straight away before we forget. So can you remember how do we rename with our background? That's right, we press this little drop down menu here, and we went to rename. Okay, so we're going to click on that, and then we're going to rename our sprite. So we're going to delete that out, and I'm going to type squirrel because I think that is the character that I'm going to choose. If you want to choose a different character, you can rename that, or you could say playing character or main character, just something that you know which sprite you are programming, so it differentiates the different sprites. So when we add in our acorn later, we'll rename that acorn, and then we can see along the top that we've got background, squirrel, acorn. Okay, and then when you've added your sprite name, you're going to click OK. I'm going to zoom out, and there we go. So does that look like a squirrel? No. So who remembers, how do we change how our sprite looks? So we've got our penguin. Which button do I press to change my penguin? Well done. Hopefully you said the penguin button. And then we're going to go to the penguin plus. And again, we're going to do the same thing as we did with our background. We're going to choose a character. So we're going to go up to web search. We're going to type in our character. So if you wanted a hedgehog, you could type hedgehog. If you wanted a gardener, you could type in gardener. If you wanted, I don't know, a fox, you can type in fox. I'm going to type in squirrel because that is what I have chosen. So squirrel, and I'm going to hit enter, and that is going to bring up lots of different squirrel characters here. So let's have a look. Which one shall I choose? I am going to go for, well, that's a chipmunk for a start. I'm going to go for, I think this little guy here. So I'm going to click on the character that I want, and then I click OK. There we go. So that has changed my character. Now he's a little bit big at the moment, so he's taken up a lot of the screen. So we can change how big our character is. We can do that by using this little scroller button. So can you see, as I'm scrolling further down, it makes it smaller. If I scroll further up, that makes it too big. Okay, so we want to scroll down a little bit. Don't make him too small because that's going to make the game impossible. There we go. We want him about that big. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller, but not much different. Okay. So there is our squirrel. Now we're going to do the same thing for our acorn. So that is the objective of our game. Remember, our squirrel is our sprite, and the objective of the game is to catch the acorn. So we need to add the acorn as another sprite. So teachers, this might be a good opportunity to pause the session, give them a chance to see if they can do this independently to add in an acorn. So remember, you need to add an acorn, rename it, change how the penguin looks because it's going to be another penguin, and save it. So see if you can do that. Okay, I'm going to show you how to add in the acorn. So again, we're going to go to our plus button at the top here. So we've got another sprite 1. We've got another penguin. So what was the first thing we needed to do? Hopefully you said rename. So we're going to use our little drop down menu again. We're going to go down to rename. And what do you think we're going to rename this sprite? That's right, an acorn. So we're going to find, we're going to look, we're not going to look, we're going to write acorn. And we're going to click OK. And then what's the next thing we need to do? That's right, we need to change how our sprite looks. At the moment, we've got our penguin. So we're going to click on our penguin button. Then where do I click? Penguin plus, well done. Then where do I click? Web search. And I'm going to search for an acorn. There we go. So we've got lots of acorns to choose from. I think I'm going to choose this one. You can choose a different one if you want to. And then we click OK. Now my acorn is giant at the moment. That is going to be a very easy game if my squirrel is trying to find that giant acorn. So what do I need to do with my acorn? That's right, we're going to make it smaller. So we're going to drag this scroller and we're going to make it probably about that big. We don't want it being bigger than the squirrel. And there we go. So we have got our sprites sorted. We've got our background set. We've got our squirrel and our acorn. We have sized them and we have renamed them. So that is the easy bit done. Now we're going to create some code. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to code the squirrel first. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my squirrel tab. So can you see I'm going to click on squirrel. So this is why it's important that we name the tab so that we know which character we are coding and working with. Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to press play on your game, and what happens? Nothing happens because we haven't programmed any algorithms yet. We haven't told our game what to do. So this is how we're going to do that. Okay, so I would like you, we've clicked on our squirrel tab, so I can see that my squirrel tab is green, and we're going to click on this button. Can you see this funny button here? This is our coding button. This is where we add in our algorithm. So we're going to click on that, and you should see all of these boxes appear. Okay, now if you have less boxes, what we're going to do is we're going to drop this menu down, and we're going to make sure we're on level 3. If this is the first time they're opening it, teachers, it will more than likely still be in level 1. We're going to add level 3 just because it gives those students that find this very easy, gives you a chance to give them some extension activities if they need it. Okay, so I want you to make sure you're on level 3, and we've got all of our lists. So these are our categories. Okay, so when we click on these categories, for example, if I click on motion, that is going to give me all of the blocks that are used for moving our character. Can you see they're all blue? Apart from the green bits, those are numbers. So the numbers are green. Okay, so we've got motion, we've got looks. So these are things that changes how the sprite looks. It might be a speech bubble that comes up. You can adjust the font of that speech bubble. You can create character costumes, and you can set sizes and that kind of thing. We've got the pen, so you can draw onto your page. We're not going to use that today, but you could. Text, so again, that gives text boxes, and we can change how those text boxes look. Events, now this is one that we're really going to use today. So events are when you do something with your keyboard, for example. Okay, or when you press a button. So these are your trigger code. I don't think that's the official word, but that's what I'm going to use because my brain's not working. So that is your trigger code. So that is when you do something on your keyboard, something is going to happen to your sprite. And the same with your control. So control buttons will control what's going on or when something happens. Okay, so we're going to leave it there for now because the rest are a little bit more complicated, and we don't really need to get into those for now. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to make our squirrel move. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to give our squirrel a trigger code. So we're going to go back up to events. So who can tell me what sorts of things do we do on a keyboard when we're playing a game to make our character move? Now there's 2 possible answers. Well, there's lots of possible answers, but there's 2 main answers to this. Let me rephrase this. Which buttons on a keyboard do I press to make something happen when I'm playing a computer game? Okay, so I'm going to hold up my keyboard. So you may well use the arrow keys. Hopefully you can see that. The arrow keys. Okay, so that is one way of making our character move. The other way, and I'm thinking about Minecraft players that might be out there, there's often we will use the WASD keys as well. Now we're not going to use those today, but you may well want to think about that. That is how you would create a 2-player game, is you would have one person on the WASD keys and another person using the arrow keys, or 2 characters. Okay. So which button or which block do you think we're going to drag to allow us to use the arrow keys as a trigger code? Which of these blocks of code? Okay, hopefully you said this one. So when at the moment it's up arrow, key is pressed, something happens. So can you see this block in the middle? So this is the trigger, and then we're going to add what happens. We're going to add into that little space there. So I want you to click and drag that onto your screen. Now, don't worry, my head is in the way, so let me move my head. Nope, that is not my head. Let me move my head. I'm going over here. I'm over here now. Don't worry if you have dragged that by mistake and it is the wrong bit of code. Don't panic. We can drag this down here into the bin. So hover over the bin and just drop it in. Okay, so don't worry if you add code that's wrong, or when we're debugging later, if you realize that the code doesn't work and you want to try something different, just pop it in the bin and you can start again. Okay, so when the up arrow key is pressed, okay, we want something to happen. So we're going to stick with this up, but this, if we click this little button here, we've got lots of options. We are going to stick with the up at the moment, but we will need 4 of these to be coded for our character to be able to move. So which color buttons do you think I'm going to use to make my character move? Who can remember? Out of these sections or categories here, what color are responsible for moving? Hopefully you said the dark blue ones. So these are the motion buttons. These are the ones that move our character. Now we could use forwards, but we're not going to. We're going to use something different. Okay. I hope you've got your maths heads on. I'm just going to click out of here for a second. And I'm just going to show you this screen here. Okay. In fact, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see. That's too far. No, it won't move any further sideways. There we go. Okay. So can you see right next to my head, we've got our X and Y axes. So hopefully you've done this in maths. Okay, so the Y axis goes up the page, so top to bottom. So can you see my Y button, my Y number over here is getting bigger or smaller. So in the middle, right where my squirrel is at the moment, that is the 0 point. Okay, somewhere around there. It's difficult with the mouse. So above the squirrel, so going up the page, that is my Y getting bigger. So can you see it is plus 213 up here. If I go on my squirrel again, and if I go down the page, can you see that is minus? So my Y is minus. So we're going to be using a motion button that says change Y, because we want to move it up the page. We want to change the Y. So change our character where it is on the Y-axis. So can you see this button here that says change Y by 10? So I'm going to click that and I'm going to drag it over here into my box, and I'm going to click them together so they're going to fit together like a jigsaw. So change Y by 10. Now, when we program something or when we code something, it's really important that we test it. Why do you think it's really important that we test it? To check that it works. Okay. And the way that we test it is we click on the play button. So the play button now is green because we've given the character an algorithm. We've told it to do something. So it was grayed out earlier because we hadn't given it any algorithms. So we're going to press this the play button. Okay. Now, how do you think I'm going to test if that algorithm works? What am I going to press on my keyboard? The up key. So if I press up, oh, let me zoom out because I think it's my whole page wants to go up. Is my squirrel moving? Yes, it is. It's moving a little bit. Do you think it's moving enough? Probably not. So we're going to press the stop button. So this is debugging now. So our squirrel is moving. So we've got that part of the algorithm right, but it's probably not moving enough. Those are really tiny movements. It's going to take you ages and lots of up key presses to get to the acorn at the moment. So what can I change about my algorithm to make him move a little bit more, a little bit further with each press? So we've got when the up arrow key is pressed, change Y by 10. So at the moment it is 10. So what could we change that to? We could change it to any number. So let's try 50 and see how far he moves when we program him to move by 50. So we're going to test that algorithm again and we're going to debug. We're going to see if it works properly. If it doesn't, we're going to debug. We're going to fix the problem. Okay, so we're going to do that again. We're going to press the play button. We're going to use our up key. That is probably quite good. I probably should have made that a bit bigger. And you can keep testing that. So if I press the stop button, I could change that to 100. Press the play button. Use my arrow. And that is too much. So I'm going to go back to 50, I think, and keep it as 50. Okay. So there we go. So we know that we have now programmed when the up arrow key is pressed, change Y by 50, and that works. So we can leave this little bit of code, pop it over here, out of the way. We know that works. We don't need to change that anymore. Is our game finished? Okay. We need to do that for the up arrow, the down arrow, the left arrow, and the right arrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that process again. We're going to add in our trigger code. So we're going to go back to our events and we're going to use the same button. Okay, so when the up arrow key is pressed, but this time, because we've already done the up arrow, what do you think we need to do this time? We're going to use our drop down menu. Let's do the down arrow, okay, because that's going to be very similar to our up arrow. Okay, now remember when we go up or down, we're changing the Y axis. So our character is moving up and down the Y axis. Okay, so remember Y is top to bottom. So what color do I need to add? What color block in here? That's right, we need to go back to our blue. We're going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to find this change Y by again. And we're going to drop that in there. Change Y by 10. Okay, change Y by 10. Now, if you look at the up arrow, change Y by 50. And if I keep that as change Y by 10, what's going to happen when I press the down arrow? Should we have a look? Should we test it? So if I press play, how am I going to test this algorithm? Which button am I going to press to check whether it works? That's right, I'm going to press the down button. So if I press down, 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 what is happening to my squirrel? Is he going down? No, he's going up. So that means I've got a bug in my code. So can you see change Y by? What do you think I need to change that to? So if a plus number is moving up the page, what do I need to change my Y to? A minus number. Okay, so we're going to add minus. That is right next to your 0 on your keyboard at the top. Look at all your numbers. The minus button is right next to your 0. So minus, and then how much have we asked him to move with the up arrow? Make that number the same, so minus 50. And then we're going to test our algorithm. So we're going to press the play button. How do we test this algorithm? We're going to use the down. Is he moving down the page? Yes, he is. A bit too much. So we're going to press stop and he will come back. So there we go. So we've got our up and our down algorithms all done and coded. What else do we need to do with our squirrel? Can our squirrel catch the acorn at the moment? No. What haven't we coded yet? So we've done the up, we've done the down. What do we need to do now? The right and left. Well done. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to go to our events. We're going to drag this block here. And this time we're going to use our drop down menu and we're going to choose, we'll go with left, shall we? No, actually, let's go with right first of all. Let's go with right. Okay. When right arrow is pressed, now this time, remember, so we've done up and down and they were Y on the Y axis. So we had plus Y, minus Y. So what is this axis here from right to left? Again, have a look up here at my X and Y. So right to left is our X axis. So right to left is X. So this time when we go to our motion button, we're going to find this one that says change X by, and we're going to pop that in there. So change X. Now try and figure out, if we want our squirrel to go right, which is this way, actually got that right, this way, what is happening to my X axis? Can you see, is it getting bigger up here? It is, so that needs to be a plus number. And what number does it need to be? So we want them all to move in the same distance, so it needs to be 50. Well done. Should we test our algorithm? How are we going to test our algorithm? Well, hopefully you said press the play button and then press the right button. And is our character moving in the right direction? Yes, he is. So we've got our up and our down and our right, but we don't have our left. If I press my left, nothing's happening because we haven't got an algorithm for it. So that is what you need to do. So teachers, this should be a great point to pause and check if they can do that independently. I want you to add when the left arrow is pressed that he moves to the left. So have a think about which block you're going to add in and which direction. So whether it is a minus number or a plus number, we'll move it to the left. Left. It's because it's a mirror image. It's very confusing. Okay, I'm going to show you. Don't panic if you can't do it. So we're going to go up to our events. We're going to drag in the same block. We're going to use our little drop down menu. And what is the last button that we need to program? Our left button, that's right. No, our left button, that is correct. And then we're going to drag in our change X by, and we're going to pop that in there. Now, what number do you think this needs to be? So we've got when right arrow key is pressed, change X by plus 50. So when the left arrow key is pressed, change X by minus 50. Well done. Okay. And again, we're going to check that that works. We're going to press the play button. We're going to use our arrows. Does he move all around? Yes, he does. Woohoo! We've got our squirrel. Okay. Now, if you put our squirrel next to the acorn, is anything happening? No. Why do you think nothing's happening to the acorn? Because we haven't programmed it to. So we've got one last little bit of coding and then we are done. I'm well aware that I am running over. Apologies. So this time we are going to program, the acorn. And this is why it's really important that we choose the sprite correctly. So at the top of the page, click acorn. You'll know you're in the right place because our little acorn appears here and our acorn tab is green. So that means we are now programming our acorn. Okay, and we're going to open up our code tab. So here, so that will show you all of your code blocks. Okay, so this time we want the acorn to move to a random place on the screen whenever the squirrel touches it. So whenever the squirrel catches the acorn, we want it to appear in a different place. So I'm going to give you a tip here. We're going to use the control buttons, and this time we're going to use a forever do. So this means for as long as you're playing, this sprite will do the activity that you're asking it to do. So we're going to drag that on, forever do. Okay. Now we want our character, our sprite, our acorn to move every time it gets touched. So what color block am I going to look for? That's right, a blue block. Now this time we are going to nope, that is not right. We're going to use the light blue one. So we want it to wait until something happens. So forever do, wait, and that is our sensing buttons. No, is it? Give me a minute. Let's try this. Sorry, Miss Kimmel can't remember how I did it, but it's not good when the teacher can't remember, is it? So we are going to use the sensing buttons, and we're going to use this touching. And we're going to drag that in. Nope, we're not. Let me see it on my game. This is bad, isn't it? Wait, silly me. It's another yellow one. That's what's confused me. So we're going to go back to our control button. There it is. We're going to have this little wait until, because we don't want that character moving all of the time. Okay, so we need it to wait. So we're going to pop that in there. And it says wait until. So this is where we're going to add in this touching mouse pointer. So we're going to drag forever do, wait until, and that touching is in the sensing area. Okay, so touching, and we're going to drag that and click that there at the end. So the moment it says wait until touching the mouse pointer. So that means my cursor. We don't want that. Okay, so we can use this little drop down menu, and it's giving me some options. So touching the edge, touching the mouse pointer, or touching the squirrel. So we want to choose the squirrel, or if you're using a different character, it'll be a different character. So it might be a hedgehog or a fox. But you just need to choose your character. So the moment it says forever do, wait until touching squirrel. Do you think that's going to work? Shall we test it and see? So what we want to happen is when the squirrel touches the acorn that it moves into a random place. So if I press play, we're going to get our squirrel to move towards our acorn. Is anything happening? You can see my code is working because it's flashing. But it's not doing anything because we haven't told it what to do yet. So we're going to press the stop button. And that's when we're going to add in our movement button. So we're going to go back to our dark blue buttons. And this is where we go to random position. Now it might be that you want it to move. You might be able to set the direction or change X by or change Y by or glide to a different place. I'm going to choose go to a random position. Okay. Now, how do we check? You should know the answer to this by now. How do we check whether this algorithm works, whether our coding is correct? That's right, we're going to press the play button. We're going to move our squirrel. we're going to cry a little bit because that should have worked. And then we're going to move in here. So even Miss Kimball gets it wrong. So that didn't work. So we're going to debug it again. We're going to move that so it goes underneath. So it goes into this little bit of code here. That makes perfect sense because otherwise it was forever wait until touching squirrel. And then that was coming after, but it was never getting to that point. So let's try again. Let's press plus, play. Let's move our character. Hurrah! Miss Kimball is not a natural coder. Teachers, I'm sure you will empathise. So there we go. We've got our little character moving around the screen. So there is our very simple autumn coding game that even Miss Kimball struggles with. So what do we need to do before we close our devices down? That's right, we need to save our work. So we're going to click save. We're going to type in a file name and we're going to click save, and that is going to save that into your My File. So you can come back, you can add to your game, you can keep editing, you can change things about your game. Now, teachers, I'm well aware there are some individuals out there that gravitate towards coding and find it very, very easy. I am clearly not one of those people. However, I thought I would give you some extension ideas if you need them for your class. Okay, so class, you could, to make your game even better, think about adding in a scoring system. You could add some sounds or some music or some sort of audio that happens when the squirrel touches the acorn, for example. Or you could add a you win screen. So I'll leave all those ideas with you. If you do come up with those ideas, I would love to see them. So teachers, please feel free to add any of these onto our social medias. We are on Facebook, Instagram and X. We'd love to see the children creating content. Right, little gentle reminder, we are running a Christmas card competition at the moment for our company Christmas card. So our digital Christmas card that gets sent out to all of our schools and all of our people that we work with. The deadline is coming up. It is Thursday, the 20th of November. So you've not got very long left to get your entries in. The entries are submitted through our Facebook group. There is more information there, or you can go to your teachers area tile here and you can go down here and join our Facebook group. And that is where we are receiving the submissions. So please jump on that. Okay, so class, thank you ever so much for watching. I'm sorry that I've run over, but it is a tricky thing to teach in 45 minutes, apparently. So thank you so much for watching. We are delivering another live lesson next Monday, which is the 17th of November, because I am going off on Wednesday for a couple of weeks. So you can jump on that. That is recorded. All of our live lessons are recorded and available through our YouTube channel. So class, I hope you've enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching. And hopefully I will see you for another live lesson soon. Okay.